I hope all is well for you. Today we will see what is the best example of show but don't tell in movies. This video is brought to you by Question Response. Thanks to Mold Mire, D. German Funk, Sarthak Raj Baral and Andrew Croft, Matt Pirate King for their answers to this question. We'll start with Mold Mire's first answer.
The opening scene of Wall-E is a show contender for this. We first are greeted with the stars and galaxies in the sky, but then the camera turns around and we are greeted with Earth. It's a hazy brown instead of the blue, white, and green we are so accustomed to. When it gets closer to Earth, we see what has happened. Thousands of satellites are cluttered around the Earth, a real-life problem we are facing called space junk. We are greeted with giant mountains of garbage covering the planet for miles. We also see greener energy sources like wind turbines and nuclear energy plants on top of the garbage, showing that they finally adopted those sources when it was too late. We are also greeted with lots of smog, as well as more mountains of garbage, some even on top of buildings. We see and hear that no one is around, the backing track dimming down, hearing nothing. There are no more animals, except a cockroach, which can survive in the toughest conditions. All there is left is just a cockroach and Wall-E, a trash robot, on a brown, hazy, trash-filled planet. And by now, the audience already knows what has happened. Humanity fucked up. It tells us so much in a 2-minute segment. No exposition needed, no narration at all. We all know what happened. And that is one of the best examples of show but don't tell in movies. Thanks for reading, Tilda.
The following answer is from D. German Funk.
Captain Jack Sparrow's first scene in Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. This scene is expertly crafted that not only is it a character entrance but also a character introduction that says everything about him. And not a single word was said through most of it. Here's how it plays out. First we find the captain himself entering the scene. You watch him standing atop the post of his ship. A captain of a great vessel. You watch the wind against his face, flapping his long hair and ribbons of his cap. Facing forward to unseen adventure. You see the shine in his eyes. The fierce determination. A fearlessness akin to any hero of many tales. All the while an epic song plays in the background. But all that, as well as out expectation, gets turned over its head the moment Jack jumps down to reveal. Jack's ship is no more than a tiny dingy. A sinking one too. But then pauses when he encounters the hanged corpses of pirates. Taking his hat off and saluting the dead. Culminates to an epic entrance of him making it into port at the mainmast of a sinking dingy and walking away as if exiting an elevator. Oh, and not before talking his way out of paying for the port fees by bribing the man. Before walking out and stealing said man's purse for more coins than he gave. In a single scene, we find that Jack is a down-in-his-luck pirate or one desperately clinging to his glory days, a man with respect and morals or maybe even a heart from how he salutes the dead pirates, an optimistic easy-going soul who always makes it on top even at the cost of everything falls behind him, and a man with a silver tongue who could both talk and work his way out of any situation while getting away with everything. This wonderful character introduction is simply superb that shows Jack Sparrow for all that he is without making any long drawn-out monologues that most movies suffer from and a personality that hardly changes through the course of not only the movie but the entire franchise.
The next answer is from Sarthak Raj Baral.
Zack Snyder has had to brave torrents of remorseless criticism for his involvement in the DCEU, much of it based around one commonly held axiom: he prioritizes style over substance. In some of his less than stellar movies, there is merit to that criticism. However, because of this line of critique, his talents as a terrific visual storyteller are often not given their due. Snyder conveys so much with so little, the fantastic opening credits of Watchmen being a prime example. That was inspired visual storytelling, and it remains one of the best opening credits in recent history. Another potent display of his ability to show, not tell, is one of the opening scenes of Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, where Bruce Wayne comes face to face with gods and the havoc they can wreak. The scene in question is a recreation of the climactic battle between Superman and General Zod in Man of Steel. Whereas that sequence reveled in the destructive power of two gods coming to blows, the version of the scene in BVS is much more sobering and shows the conflict from the point of view of the people on the ground. It's a well-executed sequence that sets up the central conflict of the movie. Here are all the things the 5-minute or so sequence communicates. Bruce Wayne is an eternal badass. The shot of him charging headfirst into the cloud of dust while everyone is running in the opposite direction is the perfect encapsulation of him as a character. His motivation and desire to save lives is perfectly laid out, but Bruce also feels helpless. He doesn't have a gadget to deal with this situation. People are dying all around him and there's only so much he can do. This fuels his frustration. The shots of Bruce looking at Superman and Zod fighting establish how powerless he and all of humanity will be if ever the likes of Superman was to turn on them. They are gods. As Wayne Tower collapses, people that Bruce feels responsible for are left dead. A child left orphaned. He knows how that feels. And it's on him. It's personal. Essentially, the sequence lays down the magnitude of the danger posed by Superman and his kind. It establishes exactly why a section of humanity is afraid of him. Further, it introduces Bruce Wayne and tells us everything we need to know about the kind of man he is. And it perfectly establishes his conflict with Superman. All that in 5 minutes. All that without clunky exposition. Sublime visual storytelling. If only the rest of the movie was as cogent as this expertly executed sequence.
We can continue with Andrew Croft, Mad Pirate King's answer. Well, let's see. Fly home, buddy. I work alone. Can you guess where that's from? So I'm fairly certain the majority of people have seen The Incredibles at least once in their life. I'm also certain they agree that it's another Pixar masterpiece among several. Note, I swear I've seen another answer on Quora that covered this example, so I do apologize if I'm directly copying it, but seeing as I'm both lazy and oblivious, I shall attempt to do it justice. This show, don't tell, moment concerns the film's villain, Syndrome, Buddy Pine. Aside from being the champion of chaddest chins, Syndrome is a really well-developed antagonist. His origin begins in the film's prologue, where Mr. Incredible had just saved Oliver Sunsweet from his attempted suicide and is in the middle of apprehending bank robber Bomb Voyage when Buddy appears as Incrediboy. Naturally, Mr. Incredible is rather busy when Buddy just stumbles in on a potentially life-threatening scene of a crime, and he has this to say. This is because I don't have powers, isn't it? Well, not every superhero has powers, you know. You can be super without them. I invented these. I can fly, can you fly? That is when Mr. Incredible turns to him, with Bomb Voyage in his grip, and says, fly home, buddy. I work alone. Then Voyage clips a bomb to Buddy's cape as he runs to get the police. Mr. Incredible tags after him, throws the bomb, it damages a monorail track and Mr. Incredible saves a train full of civilians, after which he has Buddy custodied by the police and sent home. So why is this scene significant in transforming Buddy Pine into the villainous Syndrome? It's what happens 15 years later. Mr. Incredible is given another assignment by Mirage to return to Nomeni-san Island, where Syndrome arrives after unveiling an upgraded Omni-Droid robot. Syndrome bellows that both Buddy and Incrediboy have sailed their ships. He angrily declares that he only wanted to help. And what did Mr. Incredible say to him? Notice anything different? In the first instance, Bob had Bomb Voyage in his hands, and he glanced sideways at Buddy, adding a hint of frustration to his words as Buddy had haggled him earlier in the day, but with no malicious intent. He's also aware he has a dangerous criminal in his hands and wants Buddy to just fly home and keep himself safe. In the second moment of Syndrome's flashback, however, look at how Buddy has his arms open, begging for acceptance. And Mr. Incredible towers over him in a conceitedly haughty manner, brushing him off without a second thought. And there is no Bomb Voyage in the picture. Instead of clunky dialogue where Mr. Incredible tells Syndrome, you're insane, the film intelligently shows the audience how irrational and beyond reason Syndrome's perception of reality has become. It completely erases Voyage from the incident, highlighting his malignant narcissism. It exclusively has to be about him. He still remembers that moment of betrayal with the same childlike naivete, as he was still a boy, oblivious that Mr. Incredible genuinely wanted to be left alone and that he was a toxic fanboy objectifying his idol who didn't get what he felt he deserved, to be the sidekick. In effect, Bob created his own nemesis. This betrayal twists Buddy's perception of superheroes into a volcanic hatred, one that fuels his transformation into the villain and his endgame of making the term super obsolete. Making everything that superheroes have done purposeless. That is scary, although, if he really wanted to achieve his goals, he should have followed Edna's advice. Peace and love. A short life and a merry one. This is the end of the video. Thank you for staying until the end. You can now subscribe if you like the video more. Remember to also leave a like, it helps for the referencing on YouTube. Here is the end of the video. Leave a comment to tell us if these answers are more useful to you. See you soon.